Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well. It's been quite a bit of time now since I last posted a what's in my camera bag video, so I figured I would post a 2024 update, especially around my travel setup because I've got quite a few trips planned this year. And I've really streamlined my gear and made quite a few changes, so let's just jump right into it. So the backpack I'm going for this year is the newer 25-litre version of the VSGO Black Snipe backpack. And there's quite a few reasons really why I've opted to use this backpack this year over the many other backpacks that I own, so I'll get into some of the benefits of this backpack. I personally really love top access in terms of being able to get to my camera quick, and this backpack has the most spacious and customizable top compartment of any other backpack I own. And although this isn't a huge backpack, it still stores tons of gear. I really love that it stores, for example, my RF 70-200 zoom lens stood up, whereas in most backpacks I own, I have to lay that one down and it really eats into the storage space of your backpack. It is also a very comfortable backpack, and for me, in terms of travel, comfort is king because I'm typically carrying at least 2 camera bodies because I've got to make videos and things like that. And I'm probably even carrying things for my wife and just general day-to-day things you need when you're traveling. And even when you load this backpack up, it has got very nice padded straps and it just never gets uncomfortable. So yeah, there are very few cons to this backpack. It has plenty of storage space. It has versatile quick access options because it also has side access, not just that top access, and it doesn't sacrifice in any of the comfort. So that is my backpack for 2024. And at the heart of everything, my main camera for 2024 is the Canon R6 Mark II. This camera simply ticks all the boxes for me. It is so comfortable to use and I love the ergonomics of the R6 Mark II. I just really love the colors in photo mode in this camera. They're probably the nicest of any of the RF cameras. In my opinion, they are just the most natural and easy to edit. And although it is only 24 megapixels and I do have the high megapixel Canon R5, to me 24 megapixels is the sweet spot for travel. It is more than enough, and this camera is super sharp and crops really well. And in terms of autofocus, you can really depend on the R6 Mark II to capture those fleeting moments when you're traveling. It is fast, it is super accurate whether you're shooting people, whether you're shooting vehicles or animals or anything like that. I'm really impressed with the autofocus in the R6 Mark II. And it has really awesome video too. The 25p is super sharp and so is the 50p. You don't get any of that loss in quality that you get with the R5 when shooting in 50p, and there's no crop, whereas with a lot of rival cameras on the market, you're going to get an APS-C crop in 60p. It also has great dynamic range and it has yet to overheat on me and has very good battery life too. There's not too much else to say about this camera. It is just, in my opinion, the best full-frame hybrid camera on the market. And if you want to learn more about the camera in detail, I've done a long-term full review of the camera and I'll leave a link to that in the description. Okay, in terms of lenses, this year I'm looking, especially when traveling, to just bring the essentials, and I'm going to try and stick to a 2-lens setup. And the first lens of this 2-lens setup is always going to be a fast wide angle prime. Now, in terms of that wide angle prime lens, the two that I will typically be choosing between is the RF 35mm 1.8 and the RF 24mm 1.8 that I am filming on right now. And for me, it just comes down to the fact that these lenses strike the best balance between image quality, size, weight, and general features on the RF mount. Both are really sharp wide open and both are not only extremely versatile for photo, but for video too, which is important for me when traveling because it means I'm not bringing dedicated photo and video lenses. These lenses have the built-in IS, for example, so are great for both photo and video. These are also the lenses that I typically use for like behind the scenes video work. So if I'm on a trip and I'm making a video, say I'm reviewing a camera or lens, and my wife is going to be doing some filming for me, then because these are so lightweight and they have that stabilization, then my wife will use these on say the R6 Mark II or the C70. and that will generally dictate which I choose, whether it's the 24 or the 35. For example, I have a trip planned to Paris this year to review a new camera. My wife is going to be helping me out doing a lot of the behind the scenes filming for that video. And to be honest, Paris makes me a little bit nervous. So in that case, we'll opt for the 24mm lens because it's small, it's lightweight, and the nature of that wider focal length means I'll be able to keep it a little bit closer to me. Whereas usually on most other trips, I tend to go for the 35mm 1.8. But if we're really going all out and I'm using my C70 to record behind the scenes stuff, then again, I always go with the 24mm 1.8 because it gives me a roughly 38mm 2.8 equivalent on the C70. And then my main lens I'm taking along for photography, which also happens to be my favorite all-time lens, is the Canon RF 50mm 1.2. I really want to use this lens more for things like travel and street photography. The image quality is just absolutely stunning with such amazing character and sharpness. I've used it primarily for portraits up until now, where it is just absolutely exceptional, but I do want to put it to the test in a few more areas. It is not the lightest lens for travel, but 50mm is just such a versatile focal length that works in so many situations that I am okay with sacrificing a little bit of weight for such an amazing lens. And also the 1.2 aperture on this lens makes it really versatile for low light shooting too. And that's something, again, I want to put this lens to the test with some like nighttime street photography. Now, before we carry on, I'm just going to take a second to let you know that today's video is sponsored by Squarespace. Your photography work deserves its own website, and in my opinion, there is no better platform for building, designing, and creating your own website than Squarespace. The reason I'm always recommending Squarespace to friends, family, and colleagues is that you don't need any prior experience in, say, website design or coding or building to get started and create your own great website. This is all thanks to Squarespace's intuitive fluid engine, where changes are just so quick and easy to make to your website, where a lot of the things you're probably going to want to change are as simple as drag and drop. And Squarespace also has, in my opinion, the best customizable photo galleries that are just so easy to set up. You will be showcasing your portfolio in no time. And also, if you do have products to sell, whether they be physical or digital products, well, Squarespace gives you all the tools you need to build your own shopfront and start selling these products fast. So if you're ready to dive in and start creating your own perfect website, then head on over to squarespace.com/JamesReader and use the code JamesReader to get 10% off your first purchase of a domain or website. All right, let's get on with the rest of the video. Okay, taking a quick look at video accessories. So if I'm taking the Canon R5 that doesn't have obviously any built-in ND filters like the C70, I'm gonna need a variable ND. And the best that I have tried so far is the Ni-C True Color Variable ND filter. It just seems to have the least amount of color cast and doesn't affect sharpness in any way, so I've been really happy with this Ni-C ND filter. Now for audio, I take this Tentacle Track E recorder along with this Sennheiser MK-E2 lav mic. I know a lot of YouTubers tend to push the DJI mic or the Rode equivalent, and although those can be quite convenient to use, I think you get much better quality from a dedicated non-wireless recorder like this. It just sounds way better, and to me it's way more reliable too. I don't have to worry about drops in audio or interference like I've experienced with these kind of wireless mics that other people use. And the Tentacle Track E records in 32-bit audio, so I don't even have to worry about levels. So it just takes the stress out of recording audio when you're traveling. And this Tentacle recorder has a little bit more power behind it, so you can use some of the more expensive premium lav mics that require that extra power, like in my case the Sennheiser MK-E2, which sounds fantastic. And I picked mine up used for like £100, and it's just leaps and bounds better than any of the popular ones that I've tried. But before this one, I did use a cheaper alternative called the Zoom F2, and that sounded pretty great too and was super reliable as well. So if you're looking for something a little cheaper, then check that out. And if I can, I love to bring a more casual point and shoot camera with me when traveling. And in terms of the digital option that I use right now, I use the Fujifilm X100V. It's just a really fun camera to use, and it is small and lightweight, so it's easy to bring along casually on an evening, for example, when I don't want to bring along my full camera setup and it doesn't attract too much attention. And for film, I really love this Canon EOS 300V SLR camera. It has great autofocus and is in general just so easy to use, and I think it cost me like £25 off eBay. And I usually have it loaded up with Portra 400, and I also pair it with this EF 40mm 2.8 pancake lens as a kind of do-it-all lens. But whichever I bring, and I might even bring both, I always bring this Wandered, I think it's called the D1 fanny pack with me to carry them. Say on an evening where again I'm leaving the camera backpack back at the hotel, this carries one of these cameras perfectly. I wear it as like a crossbody bag, and it's perfect for just carrying one camera body, whether it's this, the X100V, or even say the R8 with the 28mm pancake lens, along with your phone and even a couple of batteries. I hate tripods, but again, because I make videos, I generally need to take one along with me when I'm traveling. And the one that I'm using right now, more than the rest, is the Peak Design travel tripod. Now it is a little bit overpriced, but it's well built, and the main selling point for me is just how small this tripod can pack down, making it really easy to just throw into a suitcase, for example, or sit in the water bottle compartment of your backpack. Now, if you want a cheaper alternative, I also really like this little Benro carbon fiber tripod. I'll put a link in the description because I don't know the name, but it performs just as well as the Peak Design for, I think it was under £100. But again, if we put these side by side, you can see just how much smaller the Peak Design version packs down. And that is really just the engineering behind the Peak Design one, how this tripod head kind of integrates perfectly into the tripod legs, really cuts down on the space, and that's why this is the one I tend to go with. Alright, now the last thing I always bring with me when I'm traveling is a wristwatch. When traveling, obviously, you've got to keep an eye on the time, and in busy cities, I don't want to always be pulling out my phone, and I'm just a huge watch nerd in general, but my current watch, my favorite travel and adventure watch, is the Tudor Black Bay 58. It's just a beautiful watch, to be honest, but it is a dive watch. It is built like a tank, and it's handy for timing things on the fly thanks to its bezel. But more than anything else, it's just a reliable companion that accompanies me and my cameras on my travels. All right, so that's it. That's what's in my camera bag for 2024. Let me know down in the comments what is your go-to camera and lens setup for your travels in 2024. I'd love to know. Links for everything I've mentioned in this video is down below if you want to check anything out. But as always, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.